Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. Before we get into it with our guest here today, I'd like to remind everyone that if you enjoy this content, please give a like and subscribe down below. I'd greatly appreciate it. We have Therese on the podcast. She's another Swedish guest. We had, Jenny Malin on the podcast a while back, or a couple of weeks ago. Honestly, time is not even something that I'm really even aware of right now, just because I am coming off of almost zero sleep the night before, and these things just fly by like crap. So I have no idea what's going on. Half the time I'm just going to be completely honest with everyone here. But we have another Swede on the podcast, and I'm grateful to have her on. And yeah, she's just going to give us her backstory, and we're going to, talk all things health and fitness like we normally do. And, most importantly, she's our current guest. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Well, I ask this question to every guest, no matter how much feedback I get on it and how much people say it's boring. But, hey, I'm going to do it till the day I die. What is the weather like today in Sweden?
Oh, it's the first really sunny day with clear blue sky, so it's lovely.
Well, that is good. Yeah, it is cloudy here, which is perfect for me because with my, just super pale white skin, I can go out on a walk after this and I won't have to worry about getting burnt to an absolute crisp. So, hey, this is one of my good days here, so I'm going to at least enjoy that. But yeah, to start things off, why don't you just first off give us your backstory and what inspired and motivated you to, become a bodybuilder and how that led to where you're at right now?
Yeah, I started this journey long time ago because I was overweight in one time in my life. So I was starting to cutting down my weight, and the training has always been there. When I was younger, I was a very sporty girl when I was younger. So I lost myself in party and some stuff in my younger 20s. Then I find my passion back to training, and I was going all in because that is the kind of person I am. If I'm into something, all in or nothing. So 5 years ago, I was contacting my coach. Uh, I have the same coach as Jenny, your other guests. So I have been with him for 2017 right now. So both off season and on. So he knows my body very well and how hard we can push it. And bodybuilding was the passion for training. Uh, and I love it.
And when you were getting started with the working out, how familiar were you with bodybuilding, or was it something that you became more familiar with as you started working out?
Yeah, I have always been fascinated about it, how you can build your body, and it it is a big respect to all the people who do it because it is hard work, and it is all of the day, every day. It's not just the training.
Oh my, I mean, I cannot tell you how many times I've had people that just don't understand that it is so much more than just the, hour that you might spend in the gym. I mean, yeah, it is 24/7. It is your life. That's, it's a lifestyle. But what to you was the most shocking thing about the sport when you got into it? Was it, that it was basically a lifestyle and not just working out, or was there anything else that like really shocked you about this lifestyle?
No, it was not such a big shock for me because I have gone through when I was overweight to do the diet. Now it's just more extreme from the outside, but in my eyes, I have done my food prep for longer than the years I have been with my coach. So this is just more controlled.
And at what point did you decide, like, hey, I want to give bodybuilding a try, and I want to see how I do in this sport? How long did it take you before when you started working out and losing that weight before you finally realized that, like, hey, this is something that I think I might enjoy?
Yeah. When I was contacting my coach, he was telling me that I have to put on some muscles before because otherwise I will look like I have anorexia on the stage, and that is not what this sport is about. So we put on hard work and took a longer off season to build me up. And then I was competing my first time in Las Vegas, 2019. But I was very little then. So my first word when I was coming out of stage, "Ah, we have to put more on." This was I was too small.
The never-ending struggle of being a bodybuilder. You're never perfect, and you always got to improve on things, which is why am so inspired by a lot of these athletes that I have on because yeah, they're never satisfied with where they're at. But when you were getting started working out, I love to talk genetics, and so many people don't understand. Like I say this a million times, you're not going to look just like someone just because you eat like them and train like them. But on top of that, everyone always has that one body part that really takes off when they start working out, and then everyone has that one body part that just drags behind it. They have to train to oblivion. What was one body part that really took off for you, and what was one body part that really just dragged behind for you?
When I was starting, my shoulders was getting in shape very fast, but now in time my shoulders is too small, I think. But my legs was doing well all the time. Uh, the front of my legs, the quads, I called dominant.
With shoulders, do you think you just sort of trained them out where they just where you just kind of burned them out where now they're just not gaining as much as you'd like them to be since they were the fastest growing body part to start out?
It's all about symmetry when you are training. So my legs have taking faster develop, development. Does it say that?
Absolutely. I mean, that is the biggest thing that a lot of people who just like to work out for recreation, just like to look good, just for themselves, they do not understand that like the dimensions part and the part of the sport where it has to be symmetrical because so many people that just work out they always have a body part or body parts that just look so much bigger than everything else, so then it sort of just takes up everything where they don't understand like yeah, if you want to compete, yeah, and then you might have a thing like you where like your legs develop so quickly that all of a sudden they're just outweighing a lot of other things and you got to get them to catch up, so it's just finding that balancing act. And what has that been like for you to sort of to find that balancing act, because for so many people that is something that takes them a very long time to get used to in this sport. And that's one thing that a lot of people suffer from is just like finding a way to be able to balance the body without, having one area just dwarf everything else.
Yeah, and you have to find your kind of side when you're training also in this, because I have been with my coach for so many years. So we have done a plan to do my upper body and my back for this off season because I was so small the last time I was competing. So we was working on the V shape in the back. Uh, I have done a pretty good job, but I need more back. I'm not. I'm not satisfied.
Yeah. No, and again, like we said before, it's the bodybuilding struggle is never being satisfied and everything like that. But I mean, we talked a little bit about nutrition before we started recording this podcast because that is the one thing that, the bane of my existence. What were some of the nutritional changes that you made? Because I mean, like you didn't start this just to become a bodybuilder. You started this to lose weight, and then you turned it into bodybuilding. So, what is your journey with nutrition been like ever since you even first got started working out?
Uh, I have been eating very clean, but I have also have cheat meals every week, 1 to 2, depending on how my form was doing, because you not want to put on so much fat in the off season. But I am one of the heavier girls in my off season. Um, Now in the first stage, I am about 60 kilo. In my off season, I was 75 kilo. So it is a lot for a short girl.
So, what is your cardio like in your in during your preps? Are you doing like 2 hour sessions or something like that?
No, no, no 2 hours. I'm doing my steps regular, and 1 hour we have now, and that is about the last week. For 2 to 3 weeks in prep, I was having 15,000 steps in a day.
Yeah, I
So
try to get 10,000 myself. Just 5 times a week I'll get 10,000 just on a walk myself, and I'll try to just get some other ones on the weekends normally. But yeah, 15,000. Yeah, that is intense. My feet just get blistered up way too much though. That's the only problem though. So I got to find a way to sort of mitigate that. But I mean, just the nutrition side and the food side, like you said, you're eating clean. But what is your go-to cheat meal that you enjoy the most?
oh, I love burgers and sushi, and
I have never been a sushi guy myself. I have never. I mean, I tried it once and I hated it. I had a friend who filmed me having some tuna. It was like some tuna cat. I don't even know what it was, but yeah, I for me it's got to be baked. It's got to be baked. I can't eat anything raw. It's just, but I don't know that. But yeah, burgers. You're talking to a guy who I just rate their rest. I just rate restaurants based on how good their burgers are. Really, that's my criteria really for if a restaurant's good or not. So yeah, I totally understand you with that one. But this is so much more of a mental sport than it is a physical sport. And people do not understand that because they'll just notice the physical changes and then they'll say, like, oh my God, you look amazing. They don't understand that mental transformation that's happened as well. What has this journey been like for you mentally?
because when you have passion for something, it's so much more easier to do it, and your why is important also. Because if you do it just for the stage, I don't think this journey is worth it because it's such a short time when you're standing there. So you have to love everything about it when you do it, um, and that will make it worth it.
How do you find the love for the sport when like you are having days like where you don't want to work out, you don't want to train, and like let's be honest, everyone has them. Where do you find that sort of love for the sport or just that drive to just push through? Because that's what I think is the reason why so many normal people don't do this lifestyle because like they would find those days and then they would just give up and quit.
Uh, Motivation would never take you all the way, because you have to do the discipline in the sport, or else you will fail because motivation is not there all the time. I can tell you about right now in prep, my body is just hurting when I'm training, and that is not pleasant. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. What you say?
Just exhausted,
Well,
dead tired, yeah.
yeah, yes, I'm so tired when I'm go to the gym. So you have to dig deeper to do it.
How is your sleep during preps? Because like you're talking to a guy, like I said, who didn't get a wink of sleep last night, and it's amazing that I'm doing this right now. I was like, oh, I don't even know if I can, but hey, I'll pull through. But how do you deal with because like most people understand, as you get more shredded and lean into your prep, sleep tends to be affected drastically at times.
Yeah, it's very hard. My coach is telling me all the time, latest yesterday, because my sleep is very bad. I sleep about 4 hours right now every day, and that is too little to do well in this because your body have to recover. And when you are losing fat, it's so much about the hormones in the body.
How do you function on 4 hours? Because I'm like one of those people where if I got 4 hours for even 2 days back to back, I wouldn't really be moving at all. And yet you're getting ready for a bodybuilding show. Are you just a caffeine addict, or how do you pull through?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Uh,
that's how you do it. I mean, I remember some of those days too, where when I was in very good shape and just working out and having to go get up early for work. Sometimes having to have 5 hour energy be your best friend. So yeah, that's really what you got to do. But I mean, with this sport too, what was your friends and family's reaction like when you announced them like, hey, I want to give bodybuilding a try? Because that's not something that a lot of people hear from others that they're interested in.
yeah. Um, they didn't like it in the first years. I think I don't know if you don't like is the wrong word, but they didn't understand why will you do something like that, you know? And my coworkers just laughed at me when I was telling them I'm going to compete. And that time I was overweight, you know, when I was telling them, because I was already in the mindset I'm going to do it. So they were saying, "You in that shape? No, not now. About 2 years maybe." And that was my plan all the time. So I was. You can't listen to people outside. You have to be in your own way all the way in this, because it is always people who is going to say something negative about you, and that is every day. Because when you are sitting there when you're with your meal, your same boring meal every day, and of course people are saying something about it, because that is not usual to eat the same thing every day.
Do you spice things up at all with your meals to make them more tasty? Do you add stuff to them, or are you one of those people that just, I'm just going to keep it exactly the same and I'm just going to pull through?
Yeah, I'm. My chicken is fajita spice on it, and I do a lot of spices and just mixing the meat up. Sometimes I have beef, chicken most of the time. Sometimes fish, but not a lot. But the kind of way I cook the meat. Sometimes in the oven, sometimes on the stove, and sometimes just in slow cooker. So it's easier to do.
For me, I had a bad experience with chicken a few years back where I undercooked it, so I got food poisoning. So now I have to have it almost burnt, basically, then just to make sure that there's no way that it's undercooked. So it's crispy and chunky. I had some last night myself after I went for my walk, and yeah, it's good. But yeah, more power to the people that do that, day in and day out, and just have just that, because I mean that mental side of the sport is just so much more important, and especially with that nutrition. I mean, how you're able to pull through. I mean, they should give you guys medals and monuments just for even competing at all. But for me, yeah, it's just insane. But I mean, when you're getting ready for the show, like these last few weeks, how do you try to sort of do less, as just in your average day-to-day life? Do you sort of like to take time off work, or how do you do that? Because like I cannot imagine myself at like where you're at right now being a functioning member of society.
Yeah. Yeah, this time I'm going to take vacation and some days off, because my competition is in Spain. So I have to go down there in the beginning of June, because you are putting a lot of fluid on your when you are switching to a warmer country and all of that. So I'm going down there, and this time it's my family with me and my boyfriend. So we are going everybody together. So it is very nice. From just about that we are talking about earlier. Now was just, we are going with you, so we are coming.
What do you think changed your family's mind when they were originally just like, oh, we don't agree with it, to now they're coming with you to your show?
I just think they are supportive. They have always been, but not understanding. So, but I think they see the hard work and the result of it. So it is like a journey of weight loss. Also, um, people will question why you're changing, why you're doing something different. Come with us to drink beer, come with us to party, all of that. And when you are starting doing things for yourself and just say, no, I don't want to, I want to do this, that it take more time for them to take the changes sometimes.
Oh, I mean, the change to your social life is one of the biggest impacts that a lot of people just don't get. Where it's like, yeah, you can't be going out partying and you that much. I mean, you can't really, at all, really. But yeah, just that social impact is one of the big ones as well. But I mean, with this sport, the thing that shocked me the most was that how much posing, how hard it is for so many people. Because I mean, I never would have guessed it in a million years. But what has your experience with posing been like?
Or posing is hard. It's very hard. Um, I have a lot to work on that because when you are doing the posing, it's like a training session for me. It is very sweating sometimes because I'm doing the posing in my off season also. Because the first time I was competing, I was doing my competition prep for figure, and then the last few weeks of prep, my coach was telling me when we are doing the NPC league, we can switch over. So I was doing the women's physique then in a very small shape then. So um, I didn't know the poses for that. So I have to do a lot of training for that. And I was so disappointed on myself that time because I was not doing well at all. So I was doing a lot of effort this off season just to do that. But I need more stage present, and I'm going to work on that and to put on a smile when you're going out on stage because it is the whole package you are presenting on stage. It is not just the posing. You have to look like you are enjoying your moment there.
Absolutely. I've said this a million times, but yeah, the smile is your jaw muscles might be the most sore thing after one of these shows just because you don't understand that, like, yeah, you need to if you're going on there and you're looking like you're all mad and stuff like that, or you're not smiling, it's like, yeah, you have to have that smile and you have to have that grace, which is, something that I don't think a lot of people are familiar with. It's all the little things about this sport that I think add up and make it so much harder than a lot of people realize. And yeah, and out of the poses that you do, what is your favorite pose and what is your least favorite pose?
Uh, my favorite is the tricep and side chest and the front double biceps. Everybody loves.
What's the one pose you don't like?
I'm not satisfied with my back right now because I need that to grow bigger next off season. So my back pose is my least favorite pose because of that. Because I need it to be bigger, and I know it will be my weakest point.
But on the plus side with your back, you don't have to be smiling when you do
Yeah, that is.
it. Yeah, so yeah, that for me would be my favorite pose just for that alone because yeah, that again, that smiling thing. But when you walk on stage, what is that moment like for you when you know all that hard work that you've put in, going through preps and just dealing with everything that this sport entails to being able to finally show off that package on stage? What is that moment like for you?
Oh, it's yeah, I'm looking forward to it, to my next competition. You can't put words on it, I think, because the moment is so much bigger than just the moment on stage, just the mental side.
Oh, yeah, and when you're on stage, does time seem to slow down or speed up, or is it sort of a mixture?
Yeah, uh, yeah, mixer of it because when you are going out, you are thinking it's going to goes so fast. But when you're standing there, you have to hold the poses to do it, and that make it slow motion sometimes when you're standing there. But I love it because you have to enjoy it. But I need more smile when I do it because I'm so focused on the posing. That take a lot of work just to get look effortless on stage.
Absolutely. And conditioning is the one thing that just it can make or break you. And how long into your journey before you develop that conditioning? Because let's face it, the human body is not meant to be in that pose, the poses that you guys do for sometimes as long as they make you do them. So how long did it take for you to develop sort of that conditioning where you could hold those poses for as long as you have to?
Yeah. Uh, my coach learned me a good trick there. When you are practicing, I am practicing 10 seconds all the time in my off season, just to make it easier when I'm on prep. Because when you are practicing a lot of times, I do it every time I train. That make up for a lot of time in the practice. So I can stand in the poses for a long time because when you're doing it on the NPC of Sweden, when we were competing last time, the judges was not satisfied um, with they were not agreed, I think, uh, for the first time. So we were standing there for a very long time. That was not usual, I think. But
Did you just yell at them, make up your mind?
yeah, yeah, we girls were telling that when we are going out, what was that? Because it was so long. Because we were cramping, all of us up there.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. People do not understand that when you walk on that stage for that show, I mean, you are at your weakest a lot of times because you're just so diet down and depleted, and yeah, just to be able to walk is luxury that I don't understand how some of them are able, to do it. But I love to talk post show blues because most people do not understand that are not familiar with the sport is like you're not going to be able to maintain that look 24/7. I mean, unfortunately, and you are going to have to put on weight, after every season. And what was that like for you when you first realized that, like, hey, I have to put on weight no matter, how hard I train for this current look? And has it gotten easier for you to accept that as your career has gone on?
Yeah, I didn't have that post blue people talking about because my coach was telling me you need to slow down to gain weight because I have a son and he is 10 years old. So I couldn't diet out of my diet because I need to go back to normal in my head so I can manage my day here at home. So I was fine with that. This time I am planning more to do a diet out of the diet. Uh, but the plan is different right now because my lifestyle have been for so much longer than last time. So it's easier
Well, so I mean, now the most important question: what is your time management like? Being a mom, having a job, and being a bodybuilder, just having two of those three, I think, would drive a person crazy. And you somehow manage to do all three. How do you do it?
planning all the time. And I have to do the food prep is the most important thing for me to plan because my son is 10, so it is easier now. When he was younger, he was with me in the gym, so he was with me and was playing around by my side when I was training. That was going well, so he has really been a rock.
And I mean, just to do this with all that stuff, I mean, just that willpower, yeah, is another thing that really differentiates, I think, bodybuilders. But I mean, like, let's be honest, you're not the average looking woman. If you're to walk out dressed the way you are right now, I mean, you might get stares just because people that that see that they might be like, oh wow, that's not usual. That's not something that I see. Whenever you're an enigma, really, you're gonna get stares just because it's human nature. But what has that been like for you as you've gotten, more and more into this sport? Is it easier for you to, walk outside and realize that you're like, hey, I might get extra added attention, or is it still something that you're just like, wow, this is kind of weird?
I don't like the sexual side of it when people writing stuff and so on Instagram.
Do not even get me started on that. When I first learned about that, when I started this, I almost wanted to quit right then and there and just not even do this anymore, because I was like, this is ridiculous. And even I sometimes get those messages, and I'm the guy that just does the podcast, and it's like, dude, like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Otherwise, I think when girls are coming up and telling, "Oh, you're looking so good. Your shoulders is very nice, and your arms," that is really nice. I don't. I live in Sweden, so in Sweden we don't talk so much, So not everyone is coming up when you're a bodybuilder in here.
Yeah,
So
like I said, I'm mainly Norwegian, and so I have Norwegian relatives that come over here. Yeah, they do not talk that much at all. You have to go up and basically shake them down to get any conversations out of. Which, as an American, is our national pastime, is just going up to people and just talking to them for, just cause. What was that like for you when you came over to the States and realized that, like, oh hey, we're a lot more upfront and a lot more talkative than Swedish people? What was that like for you?
I was in shock when I was going to for my morning coffee. So I was going to Starbucks from our place, and I was talking to 5 or 6 people on my way there, and they was speaking like me, like I was their neighbor. And I was just in shock of that. And when you're standing in line to things, people talk, and that is just normal. Uh, Here, that is not existing.
Yeah, I can imagine that must be, quite a culture shock. Yeah, especially for that. But I mean, as you're getting, closer and closer to this show, excuse me, and you're sort of reeling things in with your prep and with your diet and everything. What are some of the bigger changes that you make as you get closer to this show?
Try to slow down and take less time to cleaning and stuff like that, because that is really hard for me because I am a cleaning addict at home. So that is very hard for me to just look at stuff and just take my uh, body first. Like I'm tired, I have to rest. That is very hard for me to do, but that is what I'm trying to do.
After we're done with this podcast, I'll send you a photo of my desk that I'm doing this podcast from right now, and you will have a heart attack. So, I'm saying just be aware. I am, there are, I have stuff here from probably like 5 years ago that I don't even know what it's doing. I mean, it is very, very messy, but it's really only my desk. But yeah, I grew up with a mom who was just like you, where everything had to be squeaky clean. So, that sort of ingrained in me. But yeah, that's bringing back memories right there. Just, oh my god, just the squeaky clean. Yeah, I can't even get into that right now. But yeah, that's and I think that's more of the bodybuilding type. You have to be sort of that personality to. And I figured that if I did a research on like all the guests I've talked to, a lot of them do fall into that like that type of personality, which is why they compete. Because if you were to be someone like me who doesn't have that personality type, it's going to be a lot harder for you. But I mean, as you're traveling to a different country, you're doing all that stuff, but what is it what is do you ever take time to stop and just enjoy the look that you have right now? Because a lot of people don't do that, and then they regret it later on when they're not in the best of shape, when they're in their off season. Do you take time now to just enjoy the way you look right now?
I'm trying to do it. In my gym, I have friends who is telling me, "You have gone so far in this few years that you have put in all of the effort you have done," and that mm, you have to take time to look at yourself. But when you are in prep, you are so critical about yourself. So it's very hard. when you are in prep mode, because you are putting so much work to just be harder, more conditioned, and do the training better. It is so much focus on that. So I'm doing it more in my off season to look at myself and yeah,
I've
good
never had
work.
so much hate as I do for some of these competitors when they get in there to their preps and they're talking to me and they're like, "Do you think I look good enough?" And it's like, "You look better than 99.9999 repeating percent of the population." But yeah, again, it's that bodybuilder mindset where you're just like, yeah, they. But again, when you're in this lifestyle, you can't really take as much time to really appreciate what you got because it's always, yeah, you got to be more leaner, you got to be more conditioned. But this is also a sport that has also been ever evolving. Basically since day one. I mean, if you look at the year to year changes, they are significant. And what have been some of the biggest changes that you've seen in the sport since you first got started to now? Because I mean, yeah, like you said, if you've been doing this for like 4 or 5 years, I mean, it has been a drastic change since then.
Yeah. In the women's category, the bikini girls are getting more hard every year, I think. So I person my preference is that the bikini girls are. I hoping that category is not evolving more to that, because that is not bikini in my eyes, because they have to have more muscles on there if they're doing so. In women's physique and bodybuilding, when the bodybuilding was disappearing, they um, they have nowhere to compete there. So they are going back to women's physique, and that was doing the category very difficult to judge, I think, because women's physique is not bodybuilding like that. So I think the girls are getting bigger every year um, in every category, and in the men's side, yeah, they are freaky on that side.
Oh yeah. I mean, at the pace right now, in 20 years, the bikini competitors might look like the physique competitors now, the way it's going. But yeah, it's just it's and it changes, it ebbs and flows. So I don't know what the future is going to entail, but I honestly have no guess. But when we do have you on a year from today, because I'd love to have you on in a year to sort of give us an update on what you've been up to. What are some goals that you'd like to have achieved in bodybuilding? Where would you like to be at a year from today?
Yeah, I'm working to the pro card. Uh, that is my goal goal to do. But it will happen when it happens, and I have to work for it. And I want to do that first, because then I'm working to my pro debut, and I want to do well. So I have to make a lot of work in my off season, maybe um, not just 1 year. I have to put more on to do it well.
Hey, well, just make sure you're competing in a show that'll give you a pro card because I cannot tell you how frustrated I was when Jenny didn't win her pro card because they didn't have enough competitors show up for the show, and
Yeah, yeah,
that
I
is
was so sad
ridiculous.
for her
Yeah.
that moment, and I was sad that we were only us on stage. That was sad, because it is not a competition when you're going out there. So uh, you have to. I want to go to Spain just to see a bigger lineup when you're standing there, and Jenny have incredible physique. She will go so far.
Yep, and I think you got a good shot at it as well. And I mean, this is a question that I just started asking, probably a couple weeks ago, but it's I even think about this sometimes when I'm talking to some of these guests. Why do you put yourself through this? Why do you do this to yourself? I mean, there are times that I talk to some of these people and I hear some of these stories and I'm just like what's what why? Like that's the only thing I can really say. And I bet you hear that a lot, because I mean, like, yeah, you were hearing it from your family. You probably just hear that from some people that might, talk to. Even though I know in Sweden you don't really talk to maybe people as much. But how do you like to respond to that when people ask you, like, why do you put yourself through this? Like, what's the reasoning why?
Why not? I think you have to have passion for the sport just to do it, and you have to do you have to do it with uh, the right kind of heart in it. Because if you're doing it for other people, it will not go well. You have to do it for yourself, and you have to do it because it is your life and your choice to do it. Because like woman in this sport, it is a lot of judge judgment from outside, and you have to be strong to take it, because people will always tell you things, because not everything is nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another aspect too, where I commend these people that, have Instagram pages and put that stuff out there. Because for me, like after about a month of it, I would have just deleted my Instagram page and just disappeared into the mountains somewhere and became like a hermit or something. So more power to the people to do that, because yeah, unfortunately, yeah, you take the good, but you also have to, take the bad with it as well. But yeah, I mean, and just, yeah, just the changes. I think one of the reasons that I enjoy talking to somebody about it is because you see the changes year round. You see the changes in their body, and they're just the living example of how much the human body can change over time. And it's just it's really fascinating. And I mean, lastly, if there was one thing that you could change about the sport of bodybuilding and everyone would go along with it, what would be one thing that you'd like to see changed?
Mm. I think people need to be more true about how much effort goes into it. Because when younger girls are looking through Instagram and stuff like that, and they have body issues, that is not good, because you have to be honest about what you're doing then. So they will not think they need to do that much cardio, or because you have to make so much, what you say,
Progress, effort.
yeah, effort.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Mhm. 1 second here. Oh, something got caught in my throat. But yeah, I mean, yeah, just with the progress and the effort, it's just, yeah, a lot of people just have this idea that if they go into the gym, they work out a couple times, like, oh yeah, everything's gonna be fine. No, it's a lifestyle, and believe I've heard so many times people say that, and I give them a little laugh and I say, well, if you really believe that, good luck to you. And if that does happen to you, then I will pay you my life savings to train with you then, because you have found the secret that everybody's looking for. But yeah, that is, I mean, I couldn't have put it better myself. Where, yeah, so many people just don't understand how hard this sport is and how much dedication this sport takes. I mean, and I do wish more people would talk about that too, because yeah, like, yeah, you see some of these people and they make it look like it's just easy peasy, and you're like, how about you show us the photos when you're crying on the treadmill, basically, or when you're just like hating yourself eating that same bland meal over and over again. Post that stuff maybe once in a while, then, just so that people don't think it's all. But yeah, I completely agree with you. And yeah, and lastly, is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to before we wrap things up?
Yeah, my family, my boyfriend, and my coach, he is just great. And I love him for taking me as a client.
That is awesome. And again, yeah, this will be published right around when she's getting ready to go on stage. And we wish her all the best with that. And everyone, go and check out her Instagram page. I'll leave a link down below. And again, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your journey. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And this is Ryan Johnson, DD on the spot, signing off. Have a great day, everyone.